doing a live with a friend of mine on TikTok. And by the way, if you're not following me on TikTok, go to Coach Jeff Faldon on TikTok. It's where I'm giving some of my exclusive content away, because just finding out that TikTok is a lot more, well, it is what it is. I have a lot more engagement over there. So join me over on TikTok. You'll be glad that you did. So this whole conversation that we're having is why is success and failure a lie? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because so many people have really limit themselves from stepping back into what it is that they want to create because of what they have this definition or narrative of what success and failure means. So I'd like all of you participate in this. What does failure mean to you? Like, how many of you have this conversation in your head that you do not want to experience failure, right? The other thing that I would encourage all of you, so I would love to get some feedback from everybody as to what does failure mean to you. The other thing is that I would love to get some feedback on is what does success mean to you, right? Because these are, well, they call them a nominalization, right? Like they really aren't anything, right? Like what success, what does that mean? Like there's not something you can buy. Of course, I have a box in my library. Wow, interesting. Got a fly that's trying to be a part of the show as well. We have a fly that wants to find significance and probably going to land on my head in the middle of the show, which would be cool. So what does success mean to you? Like, I would love for your participation in it, because I just got off, hey, I appreciate you being here. I just got off a TikTok live and we had a conversation around this and we talked about success, right? Like this is a really, really, really important word, because this is what so many people want, and yet they don't even really know what it means to them, right? And this is where the lie comes in place, because if I did a 3-part series on TikTok, and it is how to accelerate into your greatness. And the 3 things that I talked about that, which I'll mention to you now, is really, really important, is understanding the very first thing that impacts our ability to accelerate into the areas that we want to be is being honest with ourselves, right? Like really demanding a life that demands rigorous honesty, because a lot of us judge the living daylights out of ourselves. We are highly critical of who we are. And because of that, we are not giving ourselves space to find out what is really hindering us and stepping into what it is that we want to create, right? So this is where we get to really, really be honest with who we are. So someone would love to tell and share, brave enough to share, what does failure and what does success mean to you? Because this is the opportunity for you to really look at what is it that's holding you back. And see, until we get honest with it, we're not going to be able to transcend it. Because, man, my throat just got real dry. Is really understanding that you are the one that has created a narrative that is keeping you playing small, right? And if we don't look at what failure means to us, then we are going to be chasing shadows that we don't even know what they look like, right? So that's why it's super important for us to identify what are these things that keep us from stepping into our greatness, right? So somebody put on here, I've learned the success for me is learning to let go of the original ideas of success, which was based on previous conditioning. I like that. I like that. See, and for me, I like that of that's transcending, right? Like that's transformational. I love that definition. Anybody else got a definition of what success or failure means to you? Because as I'm here, I'm able to give you feedback, live feedback, and support you. And that's why I keep doing these lives, is because the other part of this is understanding, like, I'm going to be creating an incredible opportunity for everybody. Like I've been out of it's been a while since I've been doing lives, and the reason is for that is because I've been in my compound creating an incredible challenge that I'm going to be doing at the end of July, and it's called, you can access it at the ROIacceleratorchallenge.com, ROIacceleratorchallenge.com. And what's really important about that is understanding that there are things that I have found over doing this work over 30 years that hold people back. And I want to show you how you can literally change your past, right? And being able to do that is your ability to really design the life that you want. So I almost spelled it incorrectly. So I'm going to show this, like, see if I can show this. So on the bottom, ROIacceleratorchallenge.com. And the reason that you want to be a part of this is because I have been in the trenches these last 2 years and gone through some, oh my gosh, like last year, and actually I was reviewing on this, and it was right around the beginning of June last year where I went into a season that every single area of my life got nuked, got blown up on a level that I couldn't even comprehend of moving through it. And it really put me into some dark places. But out of that, I was able to create some of the things that I was able to create and ended up making like 7 products, I think is what I've done. And out of that, I have learned some very, very valuable lessons that I want to support you in the Accelerator Challenge, ROI Accelerator Challenge, because once you understand how to create your own economy, it takes you to an entirely different level of freedom, right? Like you're not going to be dictated by somebody else's rules because you understand and trust your ability to be able to create whatever it is that you want to create. And that's why I'm so on fire in doing this. So whatever comes up with around failure. So interesting. Like, is anybody going to share what what is it that you've been through it? Yeah, I have been through it. It's been a journey, and I did it clean. I did it sober. I did using my tools that I teach my students, and like, yeah, it was crazy. Like it was probably the most transformational year of my life, and it taught me a lot about who I was. And in doing that, this is the kind of stuff that I want to be able to give to other people, because what it did is it made me dive deep within myself and find things within myself that I was able to unleash and extract. And out of that, being able to trust my ability to create things for people that is going to help them transcend. Like I created some of my most amazing products within that time. Like right after that, I did my Mastering Potential Challenge, and that ended up creating, oh my gosh, like all kinds of epic experiences. And I did really, really well at that challenge. And out of that, I want to show other people how to do that. Like, what do you think? What do you think is the thing that's holding you back from experiencing everything that you want in your life? Now, I just went to a mastermind back on last week and had some epic speakers speaking there. And everybody says, what is the thing that's standing what is the thing that is standing in the way from you creating the life that you want to create? And guess what the message was? Guess what the answer was? It's the same thing that you hear at any other mastermind or group or speaker event or any intimate gathering. What is the thing that's stopping you from creating the life that you want to create? Without a doubt, everybody said it's me. Okay, cool. What is it about you that's holding you back from creating the life that you really want to create? And I've got 3 different cameras going on here, so that's why my eyes are going in different places. I want to give each and every one of you individual attention. Okay, so what is it, and what is, and see, we have these boogeymen that we have going around inside of our subconscious and our unconscious that we don't even know how to deal with them because we don't want to identify them, because in identifying them, it's going to bring up other aspects of who we are, and we get to really see how judgmental and how critical and how cynical we are of ourselves. See, my friends, what causes belief is these 3 things: authority, intensity, and repetition. If you've been on any of my training, you've heard me say that over and over. But see, this is the amazing part. Authority, the first part of that word is author. And see, you are the person that is creating the narrative of every experience that you have in your life. So what does failure mean to you? And if you dig down, if you really dig down, one of our biggest fears, and this is what really separates us from a lot of things, one of our biggest fears is being separated from our community, being separated from our tribe. And see, if you look at the word community, it's common unity, right? Like you're in a unity, like in a unit that all has a common belief system. And if you start challenging your beliefs, you at a subconscious level understand that you are going to go up against the environment that you've surrounded yourself with. So that's going to create all kinds of uncomfortableness within yourself, right? And that's why I always say get familiar with the uncomfortable, because every time you start growing, you're going to experience uncomfortable, right? So just get more familiar with it and understand it's the awareness that's going to be able to give you the tools and the strategies and the states to get you through that, right? So what does failure mean to you? And if you look at, this is why it's a lie. There's no such thing as failure, right? It's just feedback. Like it's just feedback. But see, we identify failure so that it keeps us playing small. And this is the boogeyman that we want to push away and not step into our greatness, because we have this thing around failure. Like, I don't want to fail. Well, what happens if you fail? Let's just go there. What happens if you fail? Well, the big thing that everybody ends up saying is, well, if I fail, I'm going to be exiled from my tribe. People are going to humiliate me. And this is a really, really important word, because what you're doing is you are keeping your past alive and projecting it into your future, because we've all had experiences in our past where we have had a humiliating experience when we took a risk. And see, this is what we're accessing when we step out into the unknown, right? We're accessing a past humiliation experience that we had, and understanding that that is what we don't want to experience. But see, what ends up happening is we create this paradigm around that humiliating experience, whatever it is, and within it, it like sears that experience, and our thought processes and all the decisions and stuff like that we made within that humiliating experience. But see, how you change that is you take your current, more mature adult self into that experience, and you understand that in the context, like I shared this last show about me being the first one to sound out the letters of the alphabet, and I said Apple, right? Like everybody in the class laughed at me, and from that point on, I didn't raise my hands because I never wanted to experience that again, because I got separated from my community, right? Like I got humiliated. And see, what if? And you think about back in the days, like back in the trying to think, I've got like castle times, like what time frame that would have been, but like the late in the late part of the first millennium, right? Like the way they tortured people is they exiled them out of the tribe, like they kicked them out of the community, kicked them out of the castle, exiled them, and said, you're on your own. That was more of a punishment than death itself. Right. So this is the fear that comes up for us when we start going into areas. See, the other part is how much does your environment support you stepping out in and doing something that is aligned with a dream that you have, right? But what ends up happening, because of the fear of failure, right, we domesticate the dreams that we have, right? The dream was put in you. The dream was put in you for you to become the person that you were destined to become. That's why our greatest desire is also our greatest fear, right? Is because fear has to happen in order for you to experience courage, right? And the more you're able to do that, the more you trust your ability to step out into the unfamiliar, right? But the same thing is for sex. And I really appreciate, and unfortunately, if you click on the link that says StreamYard, that will allow me to see who's making these comments. But whoever said, I learned that success for me is learning to let go of the original idea of success, which was based on previous conditioning. That is epic, right? Like that's an epic statement. See, for me, success, I borrowed Napoleon Hill's, right? So if you look at, again, I'm going to say this book many, many times, because in the people that want to invest at a whole other level, Christina, of course it's Christina, that want to invest at another level and join the VIP acts of the ROI Accelerator Challenge, I'm giving away a whole course that I did on laws of success, right? Well, and most people don't know this, that actually Think and Grow Rich was a promotional book that was written to promote laws of success. Laws of success is about that thick. It's like 1,000 pages. It's a massive book, right? But in that book, and Think and Grow Rich too, he talks about Edward C. Barnes, right? And Edward C. Barnes jumped a freight train. He didn't have the money to pay for a train ticket, and he jumped a freight train to go out and meet Thomas Edison, right? And he was saying, I'm here to do business with you, and I'm going to become a business partner of you, right? And Thomas Edison said something that was powerful. He says, I have learned never to bet against a man that has a determined purpose and knows what it is that he wants to create. And 2 years later, he was business partners with Thomas Edison, right? But see, people have a difficult time committing to something at that level because of their narrative that they've created about failure, right? Like I've let go, and I'm here to tell you that I've had to let go of multiple tribes in my life, right? Like, and I think where I'm living now, like this is my studio, I think this was number 44 and 45 move that I've had in my life, right? Like I've moved many, many times. And what I've done with that is that it's given me the ability to be mobile. But see, the other part of that is that me longing to have deep connections and deep roots hasn't been a part of my life, right? But I've had many different opportunities where I've let go of belief systems. And that doesn't mean got rid of them completely, but I just expanded on my beliefs. And because of doing that, I've walked away from certain groups of people And I still love them and still appreciate them and respect their views and things like that. But I knew that if, in order for me to keep going, that I had to start surrounding myself with people that were more aligned with what it is of where it was that I was going. And so for me, that I've got out of this book, success is the pursuit of a worthy ideal. Success is the pursuit of a worthy ideal. And the other thing that I did within this book, and I had this for the last interview that I was on, is I wrote the success formula that he talks about in that book. So you understand, and it's interesting, Napoleon Hill died broke. Like, he did not apply the principles that he did. But see, a lot of people say, well, I don't have the experience and I don't have all of that in order for me to create. Napoleon Hill, all Napoleon Hill did was he interviewed other successful people. That's all he did, and ended up writing one of the books that was more responsible for creating more millionaires than any other book in history. So I just want you to think about that. Oprah has created a multi-billion-dollar industry because of her interviewing people. Like, I have another friend of mine that interviewed Black African-American millionaires, right? And he ended up creating a product out of that. So it's really stepping into what is it that you want to create, and then what are ways that you can create that. Like, I did a podcast, right? And I invited a guest onto that podcast. That one episode on that podcast has been responsible for mega millions of dollars, right? Like, not only what I've created in my life, but because of the connections that I ended up doing, like, we ended up doing this organization for men and training and stuff like that, that ended up doing like $750,000. Like, there's all kinds of things that have come out of it. Like, I have another client that's gone on and created lots of different things. She and I have partnered on different programs and stuff like that. So here's the point in all this, right? What creates a belief? Authority, intensity, and repetition. And guess what, my friends? You are the one that creates all the beliefs, in your life. So what do you believe about what is possible for you, right? And see, the big thing, like, having these humiliating experiences, and this is where I really encourage people to step into, because our greatest power literally is our vulnerability. Right. But again, we've had experiences in our past where we were vulnerable and we shared something, like raised our hand in class and we gave an answer. And because we didn't give the answer that the teacher wanted, we got humiliated. So we're like, I'm not going to ask a question. Right. But we have opportunities in our life, and everybody has an opportunity right now to be able to ask questions in a way that I can support you in getting you to move through what it is that you want to create. But see, what we end up doing is the fear stops us more than the desire to create what it is that we want to create, because we're afraid of what other people are going to think of us, right? But see, that's the opportunity. It's not what other people say to us that's stopping us. It is what we tell ourselves about what other people say, right? And this is the thing that stops us more than anything, right? So success and failure are an absolute lie. You're the one that determines what either one of them are. And so what I do, like when I started my podcast, I ended up, and if you haven't gone to my podcast, go to thepotentialzoneshow.com, thepotentialzoneshow.com. And you'll get it. Like, I've got to get up. I've got tons of episodes that I have yet to publish. But really, when I set that up and decided to do that podcast, I created it from a win-win. And how I did that was, I'm going to have epic conversations with somebody. And just a little tidbit on that. I was going through a phase in my life when I started that podcast that I was letting go of my tribe. And I didn't really have anybody to have very stimulating conversations with. So I set it up as like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do a podcast. I'm going to get myself out on a new platform, and I'm going to learn how to interview people and really extract out of them, like learn how to do that even better. I'm going to learn how to communicate better. And I'm going to be able to tap into other people's networks, which I did, and I was going to be able to have very stimulating conversations. So everything from that point on, I set up the value of what it was that I was going to experience with that podcast, had a number of guests on there, and that show has opened up. Oh my gosh, it's been amazing what that show has done for me, right? And the different people that I've been able to make contact with. Because see, another thing, here was another reason why I did it, and I've never shared this. I didn't even think about it till right now. In this book, he says, anytime you go ask somebody of success, you always want to be able to give them something of value. Don't go there empty-handed. So that's another reason why I created my podcast, is because I have something that will be of value to them. If I can have them come on to my show, I will have an incredible conversation with them, and then I'm going to be able to support them and their mission and what they do. It's called collaboration, right? So what is it that you can provide for somebody else that will allow you to have a conversation with them and get some input on what it is that you want to create? Like, and this ROI Accelerator Challenge I'm going to be teaching is going to, like, there's going to be, like, the Mastering Potential one. I don't know what was actually made out of that. I know how well I did, but this ROI Accelerator Challenge, I'm going to be showing people how to leverage your content. I'm going to be able to show you how to create bonuses, how to do price stacking, how to position yourself as a person of influence, how to position yourself as the only logical choice of whatever it is that you're going to do. And see, this is the big thing about this, is to be able to stand in your message absolutely congruently and powerfully, right? Because this is funny. And I get it. I totally get it. It's not that I go funny haha like I've never experienced this. It's like, no, funny haha like I've been through this. Is they say public speaking is the greatest fear, right up next to being burned alive. Like, I'm going to share with you right now how to get rid of that fear, right? Is because, see, it's not what people think, that they're afraid of what other people think. No, understand that you are the one that's interpreting everything that everybody else says. Right? So it's you learning, how to master the conversations that you're having within yourself. And now I get it. Now, fear can serve us, right? Like, fear can serve us. Like, if you put me on a stage and said, okay, I want you to talk about English, like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I mean, I know pronouns and stuff like that, but I don't even know what the real definition of any of that is. That's not my jam, right? Like, that's not my expertise. So the fear is going to give me the prompting that to get me to know the material more. But if you get me to talk about the material that I know, what I'm doing, see, this is the fear. What the fear is doing is you're focusing on you, and you believe that everybody else is going to focus on you, right? The fear isn't what other people think. It's you think that someone's going to tell you what you think about yourself. Like, I just want you to think about that, right? So here's another thing I got from Think and Grow Rich, and I shared this on the last show, was being able to, you can have everything you want by helping others get what they want, right? And when I got that from Zig Ziglar, this was well over a dozen years ago, and this is when I was starting to get more and more into putting myself out there more and more. Like, I had a multi-million-dollar business on jewelry, right? Like, that was my thing, but it was all behind the scenes. Well, then I started doing this internet marketing thing, started training people, started doing internet marketing, training them as well, teaching them my first product was called Prospecting Funnel, right? This was back when I had my website up in the top 100,000, one of the top 100,000 websites in the entire world. But see, I went through this massive transition of looking at how I seen myself. And then one day I seen that quote that says, you can have everything you want by helping others get what they want. And it switched from me focusing on my fear into what I'm teaching people is going to change their lives, going to radically change their lives, right? I feel like separating from your tribe gets you prepared for that. After a while, being rejected isn't scary. You just want to be you after a while, let alone think of what they want. Absolutely. And see, and I want to expand on it, and I appreciate whoever said that, because rejection is a fear. Rejection is an illusion as well, right? See, when you love yourself, not be in love with yourself, that's much different. But when you love and appreciate the journey that you have been on, and you value that, like on TikTok, again, if you're not following me on TikTok, you are missing some of my most epic content that I have ever created, right? Like, so over there, I've got, the how to accelerate your greatness. And in the middle of it's a 3-part series. And the second one, I talk about this, is that when we are suffering, and we create our suffering by how we talk to ourselves about how we navigate through this wonderful thing called life, right? And if we are creating suffering within ourselves, Christina, sorry. That's all good. It's all good. But when we don't value who we are, then we are going to give ourselves to people that don't see that are going to see us like we see ourselves, right? So go watch that on TikTok, because I explain it of like, once you understand the price of admission you have paid to become the person that you are today, the price of admission that you have paid to be the person that you are today, put a value on that. Like, how much is that worth to you? Like, just in education, like me going to college, and I mean, it's insane. Like, just to college alone, $500,000 or whatever like that. Um, and then looking at all the other courses and the books and the time. See, this is the other thing that a lot of people don't take inventory of, is how much time and energy that you have put into becoming the person that you are today. Like, how many journeys have you gone through and gone through these, like, oh my gosh, learning processes? Like, how do you put a worth on that? And then we can stand there and say, I don't have any value to offer people, right? Like this course that I used to teach for men, it was a 3-year curriculum that I used to teach men. And one of the episodes in there was talking about mentors, right? Like the most valuable lesson that you could teach somebody is what not to do. Like what you would deem as failure is some of the greatest advice you could give to somebody else, because learning through experience is the most expensive way to learn anything, because you're going into it blind. You don't know what to do and what not to do and what's effective and what's going to give you and stuff like that. So you just go in there and you learn through experience. And sometimes those experiences can be massively expensive and you go, oh, can't do that. Now I'm going to do that one again. But if you had had a mentor that had gone down that path before you, they can shorten your learning curve, right? But see, you've gone through all kinds of things in your life, right? And that's where I talk about, like, the ROI that I talk about in the Accelerator Challenge. The ROI is you remembering. Like, I'm going to show you how to change your past, right? I'm going to show you not only how to change your past, but I'm going to show you how to optimize everything, which is the O of the ROI, is optimizing, by learning the things and the programs and the strategies that you use that are not in alignment and congruent with what it is that you really want to create. So it's just the same thing. Like, you have your phone, it updates a new operating system. There's apps on there that become obsolete that you have to delete because they're not aligned with the new operating system. But we got all kinds of programs like that playing in ourselves that we don't want to look at, because again, how we characterize it and how we hold it, how we judge it, right? And that causes the pain. So stop judging that stuff. It's all served you to get to be the person that you are today. Then the I is knowing how to influence. In order for you to influence anybody, the very first person that you have to address is yourself, right? Like, you have to come to this place and understand that there is nobody on this planet, has been, is, or ever will be like you. Like, you think about how many seconds you've been alive. Like, all that has combined, like all the stuff that you have experienced, all the books you've read, all the experiences you've had, all the relationships you've gone through, all the breakdowns that you've gone through, the solutions that you've had, right? And then for the people, the entrepreneurs that are out there, right? This is an opportunity, because see, again, this is stuff I work with my clients. How many people are out there doing things that are out of alignment with who they truly are, and they wonder why they're suffering? Because they're doing something that they're not aligned with, but they don't want to get honest with themselves because they're afraid of the answer that they're going to receive, right? This is all the stuff that I'm going to be teaching in this course. This is going to be like, I've got another course that I'm going to be doing, and this is what prompted me to do the ROI one. I have the Ultimate Influencer course that I was going to do, and I'm just not in that place yet to unleash. That's going to be another beast. But I've really been listening to the marketplace and what I've been experiencing with my clients, and that's where I come up with the ROI Accelerator Challenge, because really I want to teach people how they can, first of all, create an influx of income, how to do it, and how to do it in a non-salesy way, and be able to do it from a complete place of influence and get themselves to stand and like make themselves look like the only logical reason that anybody would want to do, that you would be the person that would take care of whatever it is you want to take care of. But see, what happens is, friends, let me speak from my heart for a moment. This is one of the most painful lessons that I really, really got. And I was going through this training, and I had somebody come up to me. I'm going to get emotional about this. And they knew my background. They knew that I'd been coaching for decades, and they knew, what I could bring to the table. And they knew the results that some of my clients had gotten. I met some of my clients. And they come up to me, and I was just in it like, I'm just going through this. I don't want to be the coach. I don't want to be the trainer. I don't want to be that. I just want to go through this training. And he come up to me, and he says, dude, we need you, man. We need you of what you have to offer to this world. We need you. And it just clicked. I was like, dang, like, yeah, because I was playing possum. I was just holding back. And it was just like, no, we need you. And understand, the world needs you. The world needs you to share your message in a way that only you can share it. The only way that you can share it is through you. And you're going to resonate with some people and you're not going to resonate with other people. You're going to resonate with people that I don't resonate with and vice versa. But the world needs you. And see, us playing small isn't doing anybody any favors. Like the great quote from Marianne Williamson, right? Like that's why I'm such a big fan of that, right? Learn to influence yourself in a way that gets you to stand in your power rather than keeping your limitations alive. Mastering influence is one of your greatest skills that you can ever do. Like I always talk about, the 3 skills for you to master, for mastering life, period, is marketing, networking, and knowing how to influence people. Like those are the 3 skills that you need to develop in order for, and it doesn't matter if you're a stay-at-home mom or dad or just a parent or whatever. Marketing is knowing how to get somebody to move in a direction that is alignment and congruent with who they are. Your network is your net worth, right? And then being able to influence and communicate in a way that grabs people's attention and gets them to go in the direction that you want them to go, right? Like this is the skills. But see, what is your narrative around speaking? Like I was raised in an environment that if you put yourself out there, you're supposed to sit down, shut up, and don't move, right? Like, so me learning to be here with you today has been a massive, massive transition for me. Like I remember the first video I did about 15 years ago, my knees were shaking. Like I was freaking out, right? It took me 5 sets to do it. I had my, yeah, it's a long story around that, right? But what I did is I valued what that video was going to create. I was entering a contest. And if I entered that contest, the possibility of me winning like multiple hours of coaching with this person, that I valued more than hanging on to my fear, right? So understand that, my friends. What is it that's going to get you to move into the area that you want to be? So I would love to have you in the ROIacceleratorchallenge.com. Giving away lots of bonuses. This is going to be, and lots of you have been on here. I've been already been through some of my trainings, but this is going to be by far the best work I've ever done. And I'm here to support you in any way that I can, because we're going into some tough times. There's no doubt about it. And so you can focus on going through the tough times, or you can focus on creating what it is that you are meant to create and share with this world, because the world will be very forever thankful that you did that. That's why we're all here. We are human beings, not human doings. We're human beings, right? So I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Thank you so much. Anybody got any questions before I wrap up that I can answer for you? Got lots of stuff going on here. Anybody got any questions that I can support you with? And again, I appreciate, I'm assuming Christina always shows up. I love it when she comes here because she shares from her heart. Jennifer, appreciate you being in here. I appreciate all of you being here, because see, it means the world to me that you share your time with me, because you'll never get this time back. And I appreciate it, you sharing it with me. That means the world to me. And I want to do all that I can to support each and every one of you, to support you in moving into the direction and be able to create what it is that you really want to create. Right. So much love to everybody. Get over to ROIacceleratorchallenge.com, sign up. And if you got any questions, be sure to let me know, because this is your life. This is your life. And I want to do what I can to support you in making it the most extraordinary life possible. So much love, my friends. And I will see you soon. Be blessed. Have a great night.